Okay. We're going to be starting soon. I'm just going to be pretty much working on Project Renaissance, as I said. Just wanted to make sure that I'm coming through. One second. Cool, I'm loud and clear. Okay, cool. Just want to make sure that everyone, I can hear myself and whatnot. I have the stream on second channel, but I usually kind of keep it muted so I don't. I have the stream on second channel, but I usually kind of keep it muted so I don't blow my eardrums out from the double speak. Okay, so I can hear myself good. Okay, cool. So yeah, we're going to be working on. Well, I wanted to, since me and Justin started streaming, and we are trying to really get in the spirit of really pushing ourselves and trying to practice more and just kind of be more consistent with our work, in a way that's, manageable and whatnot. We both really want to stress that, when you're engaging with art practice, you have, it works within your schedule that you can manage at the moment, and things can always change, and you can always add on or subtract things as it goes. We just make sure that you have a great work-life balance when it comes to these things, and you practice in a way that's really beneficial and fun. So as I've alluded to before, I actually am working on a graphic novel series at the moment that's been taking up a good chunk of my time in the background. I work on it. I've been working on it for, oh man, to really think about it, I started this when I'm 7 and I'm nearly 30 now, so a bit, let's just say a bit. So I've been redesigning characters, the same cast of characters for a long time. And the concept itself, without really getting into too many details, as I want to keep a lot of it, as a surprise for the story itself, but I can tell you I can kind of put it into the general sense of what it's going to be. This started when I was really little, and, I was just really into, superheroes and sci-fi. I grew up watching Justice League Unlimited religiously, and, you trying to Jurassic Park, Star Trek, I was absorbing media, science fiction media, fantasy media, had a huge interest in anthropology and paleontology, the study of cultures and the natural world and animals and so on and so forth, and Spec Evo. And I really wanted to get a sense of my characters kind of took on all those aspects, and I kind of wanted to build, when I was really little, a kind of superhero universe, your Marvel, your DC, what have you, but really influenced by, I guess you would say early proto-Spec Evo ideas, and, really kind of building a new lore and universe. And, I left this project, off and on, and it was always omnipresent. It was always there throughout every major stage of my life, and I've always been working on it, now, here and now. I went through some major changes, when I left high school and to college, and I had some opportunities to do stuff. It's a long story for, another day maybe, but the point is it was a big lesson for me to learn at that point, and some major changes in my life kind of recontextualized the story, and I left it for a bit, and then the pandemic happened, and I was left to my own devices during lockdown, so I decided to focus on that story again, so I hired professional writing classes at the time, and some art classes, and I was getting unemployment. Must never been paid at that moment, but this all leads into the story, and I came back to those characters. I came back to that world, and I really wanted to work with it and really recontextualize it in the tastes that I have now. I'm really into metafiction and metafiction narratives, and and the study of folklore and how stories come to be. But at the same time, I'm a huge fan of spec fiction and Spec Evo, and I've really been in this kind of kick of really not only understanding my characters and how they existed and why I made them, but kind of redesigning them and reimagining the scope of the story. So what were 12 characters, which are still there, expanded into 12 full-on universes that kind of house those specific characters. And the story continued. It became kind of a thing about acceptance and finding one's way, but also understanding one's continuity. So what I wanted to do was, in each of these 12 universes, which were in the lore, which I'll get into, in so many ways, but the basic idea is that, consider this, it was once one shared timeline. Due to some cosmic events, something that is, going to be very cool to see when I finally get to the major arc of it, got split into 12 separate ones. If you think of this as was the many worlds hypothesis, these are like branching evolutions of one timeline. These would be like the genera of species coming from one common ancestor. So it didn't really, the prime universe did not so much die, just more so it went extinct, and its descendants and species in the clades would, be these other realities. These universes have a different focus and a different vibe, and I like to take great detail to kind of paint them with a lot of those feelings, of speculative fiction, science fiction, and fantasy, but with hard and soft world building aesthetic within that metafictional narrative that I'm trying to work on. So right now, oh cool, I got a heart. That's nice. I think that's my mom. That's funny. Yeah, wow, that's cool. That's kind of trippy to watch. But hey, I wanted to kind of focus on those worlds and really ideate and really bring it to a proper world building visual development project with all the techniques I've learned now, what I'm still learning, and as I said, I'm getting ready for a graphic novel series. So what Project Renaissance is now, is one of these worlds. The main character of the original timeline, as I said, each universe was is now an extension to house what was the original 12, was a dinosauroid, and I love the idea of the dinosauroid of alternate timelines. If there was if the meteor did not strike and they were a species of dinosaur of non-avian theropod was left to evolve, would they get sapience or become a sophont species? And that's always been kind of a fun thing for me to kind of play with. But as it is not a new or a novel idea, it's very common, I've wanted to kind of do my own take with it. So I've worked with many ideas, and I came up to a bunch of concepts, and I have 2 dinosauroids, and in this timeline, I should give a little credence. So I broke them into projects. Each of the 12 universes is by project. So Project Renaissance is focusing on this alternate timeline. Not so crazy, not so out of the ordinary. It is a alternate timeline, and the area of focus is the middle late Cretaceous, on a fictional island chain sandwiched between India and Australia. And right now, I'm in the process of populating that landmass with the species that are descended from, ancestors around the region. So my dinosauroid, or one of them, is not a Maniraptor at all. It's actually a large ornithine bird that flew over to the island, much in the fashion of what they think for Balor Bondoc on the island of Hatseg, and, kind of evolved into a ground-dwelling raptorial predator. I was really inspired by also birds of paradise. I really love, the island of Papua New Guinea and New Zealand, and they're beautiful birds, and I kind of wanted to play with that concept. The females are a little larger and not as adorned as the male. They're also more robust, and the males are a little smaller and more brightly colored. I'm still working on this project, so I wanted to make sure everything, I'm starting to put more effort in designing their environment, not only the characters, but I want to use these streams to kind of build out their environment. And I want to do more scenes and environments and props, and really start practicing more Viz-Dev skills. So I've been working on some of the fauna of the island, and they took the form of these late surviving stegosaurids, which this species itself is kind of adapted to be like an anteater like animal. I've also worked on the other stream was a kind of the redesign of the Compsognathus from the Chaos Theory line, and I'm thinking, actually, I'm not thinking it, I am going to canonize that design because it was so cool as a third stegosaurid species. I'm also working on a pseudosauropod, and in the absence of sauropod dinosaurs on this island chain, at least for the millions of years that it existed before, which I'm thinking are going to be more icysaurs. I was going to do Diamantinosaurs, but I kind of enjoyed icysaurs since I got the Rajasaur descendants there, but that's a tangent. But yeah, I'm going to be working on these long neck guys for a little bit, and then I'm going to pivot to a scene, and then I'm going to try to do a prop. The stream should be probably maybe 2 hours, maybe finishing around like 8 o'clock or 9. But yeah, sit back, relax, and draw along if you will. Feel free to ask me questions, and if you have any critiques, yeah, sure, let me know. I'm just here to kind of show my process, and I wanted to get this world for the longest time, and I've been trying to be more active about my world building. So yeah. Okay, let me get this. We got 7 viewers. Welcome, everyone. Just get this down here. Nice. Good to see you too. Energized. But yeah, no. So I'm working on my sauropod. So, my process when I'm working, it takes many forms depending on what I need. Sometimes I'll do like skeletal mock-ups on like the species itself. I have my references right now. These guys are all descended. Oh, thanks, Justin. Yeah, so you mentioned Spec Evo. Where are Spec Evo inspiration sources that have influenced your work over the years? If I had to really put it at the beginning, so I think if I can really be honest about what I encountered as Spec Evo, it was these little like field guide books about dragons that I had as a kid. They were so cool. They had like these little field guides with like sketches in all of them, and they were meant to look like you had just drawn them from life. Like the researcher was out there in the field looking at these, the greater bronze dragon, and or the greater gold dragon, and that was an early influence that I didn't know at the time. I was like little. This is like middle school. But, keeping on the dragon kick, there was Dragons of Fantasy Made Real. That was a big influence. The Future is Wild on Animal Planet. That was, was a good time. And then I got put onto old Spec Evo, like older projects that were before my time, like After Man and Man After Man. Yeah. Oh, cool. Roll, you're here. Good to see you, buddy. Yeah. So, yeah, I had those as well. And then I fell in love with, one of my huge influences, which was Wayne Barlow and Expedition. And then I saw the documentary for Expedition they had, which is Alien Planet. And I even saw that National Geographic one they did, which was Extraterrestrial, and which had those like, the gull pogs and these like weird ostrich-looking things with like teeth that they would clatter. And they had these flesh trees, which, would close up during the heat of the sun, of their binary star. And what made me fall in love with it, though, and like Dinotopia, like even though it's not really, I guess you could say, like traditional Spec Evo, I do like the idea and care of a speculative society with dinosaurs. I watched the miniseries, I had the books, and even Star Wars. Just kind of looking at Star Wars and like a the art of the world. Or I had a book by Terrell Whitlatch called The Catarrhine Odyssey, where there's a bunch of lemurs living on an island with a bunch of Eocene and Pleistocene and Miocene animals, and they just kind of have a civilization. The point is, these were a lot of things that profoundly affected me, like the idea that you can not only try to use your imagination to generate an environment in a way that is, analogous and similar and operating within the bounds of like natural selection and evolution, but you can make, characters and beings, feel, tangible, I guess, in a way. I guess that's what really affected me. It wasn't just like, I'm drawing my OCs now. It wasn't like I was just, drawing a character because it was cool. I was actively, I was starting to gain an awareness of like my choices, and of like, why is it that way? Why are they doing it that way? What is the motive behind these things? How do they exist? How do they live? What do they think? Where are they going through? And if it's only ever expanded, like I have characters that are non-human, and I had to really consider, of course, this is a lot of effort, and anyone who's, doing Spec Evo or like, design in that kind of way knows that like, it's a lot of like, I guess I like to joke around and say it's like, it's Matrix level thought. Is like, I have to consider the point of view. For example, one of my worlds, which you'll see as we go through the projects, and we'll kind of bounce around between any of them each session. Right now it's just Renaissance time because I've been on a kick with that. But if I go to Project Quarry, which is the world of high elves, the name is very funny because it's not really what you would expect, but you'll get to know them. I had to think about like, what is a 14-foot tall, like I'm talking like at largest, big giraffe to as dark its size, like xenofauna life form that's intelligent, but it encounters in its environment using echolocation, using large rostrum like organs to produce infrasonic and hypersonic sounds. How do they, how do they think? Like, what are their dreams? What is a joke to them? Do they have jokes? Like, what is the whole context of their existence? And what am I going to miss? Because, yeah, of course I'm creating them, but like I'm thinking about it with my bipedal ape man brain, and mammal brain. I'm not these things that have no reference, an analog on Earth, at least, biologically. These guys are large species, but that's the fun of it for me. It's the kind of thing. It's like, okay, well, like if I had to think about what is it like to be a cockroach or like a weevil, how would they contextualize their environment? And that's for a species that's intelligent. For others, they're like just kind of living. What is their existence and how did they go? But yeah, back to this character. Sorry, I could ramble on that for an hour, and I want to make sure that I should get some work done. So I was wanting to make an idea of, on this island, for a long time, the large herbivores were actually stegosaurids rather than any actual sauropods, and that has changed. So I'm actually just kind of playing around with the ideas of like, what their body type would look like. What do they, move? The common ancestor is Peranthodon, which is supposed early late surviving stegosaurid from like late Cretaceous Africa, which is close enough in the area. So I was just kind of thinking, it's like, well, if they survived the late Cretaceous on this island alone, would be the derived ancestor. So I'm working on the anatomy right there. So right now I'm just kind of silhouetting, playing the body and shape, and I'm going to start adding some features about the plates. I'm just going to use this to kind of outline things. Maybe like it goes here. So they're in the skin. But they wouldn't really need plates as much, at least for what it was. They are the largest, or were the largest animals on the island, the coming of the icysaurs. But they did need defense, so maybe they keep the thagomizer on the tail. But it's like the spines maybe are like more reduced or thicker. Maybe like that. It's kind of a general thing. Have I read the wildlife book of Star Wars by Tara Whitlatch? I have seen it, I've held it, I've looked through it, but I don't own it. I really want to. It's a great book, and I love her work. She's a great creature designer with great anatomy knowledge. And that's what it really comes down to, folks. If, I've said many times in my streams with Justin, it's like, it's really good to understand your interests, and I guess you could say in a mechanical way. It's good to see, like, yeah, I like this, but why? At least for me, it really helps. I love the designs of the creatures. I love the thought of, like, the tauntauns and their ecosystem with the wampas. So maybe if the spines don't grow bigger, with the adults, if they look bigger on the juveniles when they're, like, little, because they're, like, still easy to be preyed upon. Maybe this. A lot of this is just experimentation. Like, I'm just trying to feel things out. What about you folks, though, that are into Spec Evo or do Spec Evo yourself? What were some of your influences? Yeah, maybe add the spines here. But yeah, just trying to play around and figure things out for this character, or this creature. You know, it's also a character, I guess. But, you know, just playing around with things. See about the foot anatomy. Sometimes I also have a pure ref open just to kind of have more images at my disposal. Always get reference. Okay, there we go. Shout out to the fantastic Matt Dempsey and your Stegosaur anatomy. It has really helped me just kind of understand these very beautiful but very odd animals. Love myself some thyreophorans. Oh, we got a question. From Raoul. Okay, my first exposure to speculative biology approach to design was actually from a classmate I had in high school who designed dragons. It's interesting that it's very, you know, I wouldn't say it's for everything, but like dragons are very common. Everyone likes a good dragon. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I've put many spec Evo dragons in my worlds in many forms. Funny enough, I got into spec biology from HTTYD. How to Train Your Dragon. See, again, it's dragons. I think they're like a good entry-level spec Evo creature because it feels like it's just on the... I guess it kind of feels like it's on the bound of, like, this could be a possible thing. But it is not. But I always love people's kind of takes, you know, on the idea of the dragon. And I love How to Train Your Dragon. It's super cool. I love the design of Toothless being like very axolotl-like. You know, you can, if you really wanted to, you can make like a Temnospondyle Toothless. Whoever has like an amphibian project, do that, please. I want to see that. Yeah, I love the new Spec Evo projects that are coming out. You know, like Seam Kozman's All Tomorrows. What's that frog one? Amphiterra looks pretty cool. Shout out to my friend Callum Diggle, who's doing Humanity Lost, and then Christian, who's doing Teaming Universe. Those are great podcasts that it's going to be launching soon. He was just talking about his process and, like, you know, his post-human design. It's really fascinating. I really, what I like about it the most is kind of like it gets to see what people are excited about in like in the natural sciences, I guess you could say, like, you know, in biology or evolutionary biology, or, you know, the study of, like, you know, just the natural world, like what people are excited in, because they tend to show that in their fiction a lot. They kind of get a lot of inspiration and kind of for that. Actually, the toe wouldn't be coming out so big. It'd be more like pillar-like, even more pillar-like, so it'd be like that. Have I seen Scavenger's Reign on Max? It's a very interesting series, interesting alien designs, and very Mobius-inspired. No, but that sounds cool. I love me some Mobius. Mobius is so rad. So I'll definitely be giving that a look. Thank you for the recommendation. Oh yeah, definitely those two. From the Alien Planet, Future is Wild. Yeah, still trying to get hands on that expedition book. I have a copy. I remember I just finally caved. I need to order one. I too need that Natural History of Skull Island, actually. For fun fact, I'm going to be showing some of the creatures here. I'm going to be working on this Stegosaur, this pseudosauropod for a little bit, and probably by 7 I'm going to transition into like a scene to kind of just, you know, round it out. But I also have a large carnivore, which is based off an Abelosaurid. If my computer, which is, again, forgive how slow it runs, goes. Just bear with me, folks. My computer is, you know, it's pretty okay, but it could be way faster. And I just kind of wanted to show there. There you are. But thanks for joining, World Maker. I know you weren't able to be in the chat, but you were here. So take it easy. It's great. Glad you were here. But yeah, thank you. And don't worry, this is recorded, and I'm going to be putting it on my own YouTube and the VOD. Yeah. So these guys are one of the large newer apex predators that have come to the island. And they're descended from Rajasaurs. Like, not only because I love them in Prehistoric Planet, but also I just love the idea of an Abelisaur coming to the island. And I kind of wanted to pay homage to Skull Island, and I wanted them to kind of look vaguely Tyrannosaurian, and specifically like the V-Rex. So, I wanted without sacrificing their uniqueness as a species, because like I didn't, don't get me wrong, I love Tyrannosaurus. I'm super basic. I love Tyrannosaurus Rex. It's my favorite dinosaur. Just huge, gigantic Komodo dragon pit bull that I just want to hug and like pet. Of course, it would probably not. I don't even know if it'd eat me. Like at that point, I don't even know if it have an interest. Like an adult, at least. It's a tangent. I just love them. They're cool. It's something that really got me into paleontology, like a lot of people. But I do, and have been challenging myself to show more love to more lesser-known species, and making them, especially with my own creature design, making them unique and endemic to what they are. Like, I didn't want to just make a Tyrannosaurus 2.0, as they would say, by just turning an Abelisaur into a T-Rex. No, this is being similar traits to do something similar. Like, these guys are ambush predators, when they get to full size, they're not super huge, they're maybe that size. It's an island environment, so they're slightly bigger than their Rajasaur cousins to take down larger prey, and specifically more armored prey. And so they have a boxier, deeper skull for a more powerful bite. They are kind of getting into like bone crushing. Maybe in a couple more hundreds million years, they might be something more Tyrannosaur-y. But right now, you're seeing them in a transitional state of just a Abelisaur that's adapting to take down larger game using a more powerful bite to dispatch. And so I kind of wanted to pay homage to the V-Rex by having it look all keratinous and have a huge snarled look to it. So I'm still working on these guys. Back to my Stegosauropod. How many species do you think have arrived by natural rafts like Prehistoric Planet 2? I think a bunch, like, coming from it. There's also island hopping, like me and Justin were working on. Again, I'm working on a lot of the detailing. I also hire consultants when I have the funds, to kind of go into these things. And I try to really think about these things when I have the chance. So I just kind of stockpile designs. But to getting to that, I'd have to do more research and like kind of think about an actual number. But I would say a good number of genre, like the mid-size animals and the smaller things, of course, probably got over here by rafting. And then for larger species, maybe island hopping. I can pull up the island itself real quick. I'm just trying to figure out where the migration patterns would be for these species. So like, for my Stegosaurid, my idea is that like maybe some, rafted over that were like smaller over here, or more than like they went down to this island, which is India, then island hopped when this is the fictional island chain right here, was somewhere around here, and it had moved, or I should say the plates had moved. Yeah, so just, very common. It happens all the time in nature, a lot of rafting events. Oh, hi. Hey, Love 72. Good to meet you. Good to see you. I'm happy you're here. Familiar with me, but I don't, sorry, I can't say I don't recognize the name. Noah OPD. Wonder who that is. Well, welcome. Glad everyone's here. This is cool. This is really fun. I'm glad everyone's here having a good time. Like I said, feel free to draw along or ideate along and create your own little worlds. It's all about having fun. Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of ways I kind of wanted the species to come over, mostly via island hopping and rafting events, you know. And of course, this being a landmass that has been there for a minute. Oh! Hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Hey, it's Noah. Hey, what's up, Dad? So yeah, I'm just kind of doing some of these world building things right here. So wanted to kind of show these things and make sure that I have a good sense of where they come from and their endemic history and how they would evolve in such an environment and what adaptations they would have. It's kind of cool. My family joined. Unexpected. Okay, let me see about my reference. It's the Stegosaurus got like these flat, giant elephantine feet. God, I need more skeleton. And this is also why it's, you know, I'm challenging myself to draw things I need more practice in, and that's the kind of the thing about why I do it. I always like to challenge myself to kind of figure out what is more I need to do. And like a fool, I put it on the wrong layer. It's okay. It happens. Just copy, cut, paste, in place, spines and plates above, merge. Yes. Hey, Mom. But yeah, so just working on these elements. So, I'm still showing the world map. That's interesting. So yeah, that's funny. I don't know why it's in Switch. Okay, but anyway, so the world map right here, these animals migrating to this region. So there's going to be a lot of species coming in from Africa. What is India, Madagascar, Australia, I think that's Zealandia, and of course Antarctica. So they're going to be migrating into this island core. So there's a lot of things I'm still debating. Like, you know, for example, I've been, and in the chat, if you're interested, I actually would love your opinion. So like I said, these stegosaurs are late surviving. You know, these guys are highly derived. They are very different than their ancestors that came to the island. But I was also thinking about there had to be a predator that existed on this island before the Abelisaurids came through. And I wanted to kind of play with the idea that, like, maybe they're kind of rare now and they're going extinct because they're being outcompeted. But I was having confusion on, like, what did I want them to be? I've been kind of tossing the idea of maybe having a late Jurassic, having a Jurassic carnivore that still survives on this island that's also highly derived. Maybe an Allosauride, maybe a Ceratosaurine, maybe a Torvosauroid. You know, something that would be kind of a nice juxtaposition with these Stegosaurus. What do you guys think? You know, do you kind of feel like it'd be kind of cool to have an Allosaurid or a Torvosaurid or a Ceratosaurid that's, you know, still survived to the late Cretaceous on this island chain that was the predator before the Albiasaurs came in? It's still showing. That is so weird. Let me see if I can get the... Let me see. Monitor 2. There. I don't know. I had to reset the screen. It was still in the world map. Sorry about that, folks. I don't know why Twitch was being funny. Let me know if you can see the Stegosaur now. Oh yeah, no, I also, I do have a Megaraptoran. Yeah, I do. They're on the island. But I do like that idea. That was actually why I kind of did that, to kind of have that reference as well. I could pull that up too. so many species I'd be working on, so many projects. I also wanted to make them a little bit of an homage to the Jurassic Park 3 raptors, the Allen kind. So I made them look like, the quills and colors just a little bit. And I might really embellish that a little more. But these guys descended from Australopithecus, and they've become more of a meso-sized carnivore that eat more at crepuscular times, at evening and dawn, and they hunt smaller game, and they dig in holes, and they use their longer snouts. Oh, thanks. I've actually done some voice acting at the school, and I've actually been in, on other podcasts. But for the still, I think it freaks out whenever I go to the main screen. So let me just reset my capture, because I've noticed that it just kind of it's on a delay. Oh, that's right, that's on a delay. Let me see. It's on this one. Oh no. Let me try again. Actually, I'm going to try something else. I'm going to try it. Think of. There we go. I'm going to focus on the monitor so it actually can focus. So I think when I was doing the application, it just kind of lags it out. But hey, Something with killer arms or claws. Allosaurids really come through when it comes to the arms. I was, an allosaurid could be cool. I just also kind of want to be careful, though. I'm also feeling ceratosaurid, because I don't think they get enough love. They always get, bullied by allosaurids. They were a big predator for a long time. And they're nothing, to shake a stick at. They're very impressive animals for their time, and they were dominant in their environment before the arrival of the allosaurids. But yeah. Okay, so I got this guy to this kind of stage, so I'm going to start I'm going to rough out his feet just a little more, just kind of have more of the anatomy in. There you go. And I'm just going to start working on the feet, the back legs here, just kind of rough things out. The toe bones right here, bat right here, so that means that the largest toe would be coming inside. That'd be kind of cool, like the red and green die-cast one. That'd be nice. Like anatomy. I also got to try to make sure I balance things. I don't want to just completely chat up without doing more work. So I also want to get into some environments later. Yeah. So, folks out there listening, when you're doing your world building, that'd be kind of cool. Like another thyreophorian. That'd be kind of nice. This island's becoming very populated with thyreophorians, and I'm okay with it. I'm here for it. But yeah, so when you folks world build or working on your various projects, what are some things that you like to do? Some of your processes, and what have you learned that works for you specifically, and things that you want to bring attention to when you're doing your projects, or things you're trying to be aware of? Like for me, I kind of want to broaden my creature design skills and not just kind of be super dino-centric or too humanoid without just cause. I kind of want more details, but yeah. What do you feel? I'm always interested to hear people's approaches to their own creativity. Big joint there. The cantilevers. Okay. It's like this. Events and causation. Yeah, that's a good one. That really helps things. Like, how this happened. What if this and then that? It's always a good kind of way to have. I like to have that as like a basis of thought. Like I've heard a concept of like fetish world building and starvation world building, which is kind of like, you know, the fetish one is where you kind of have an interest in something and you want to exemplify it as like, oh dude, I just really want to have some dragons in my spec evil fantasy world where like these things evolved, or, you know, there's like an evolutionary history. And then there's starvation. It's like, well, if there are dragons, like what are the people doing to survive in that world? Like what kind of houses do they build? What kind of weapons do they do? You know, and it's always kind of like you use them in tandem when you're trying to do these things. But events and causation is a great start. I'm just going to kind of rough out some line work here, and then I'm going to do like a color rough. Sometimes I always look, okay, digized, I'm so sorry. I always have a hard time pronouncing digized, I think. Sometimes I always look to, like to look at convergent evolution, like how it can apply it to immensely different species. Yeah, that's a really good one too. Like you're using, how does an animal adapt in an environment to solve the same problem? Or how does the environment shape the body of said animal to, you know, deal with said stressor? It's always there's so many ways that kind of, it's like a toolkit you kind of use to be helpful. So I'm going to just kind of rough in some sketches of this pseudosauropod, stegosaurine. What I really wish is that if anyone knows a great program to like make easy binomial, scientific binomial nomenclature, I would love that, please. Like, don't get me wrong, I love having to learn all these Latin and like ancient languages to kind of figure out like what's a cool name, but sometimes it'd be really easy to have like a good database to kind of like, okay, this is what they already use, or this is like a good kind of one. DigiZ. No, you're fine. DigiZ. That makes more sense. That makes a lot more sense. I was just... Sorry. I did not know. Now I do. Yeah. But yeah, world building is a fun thing for me. It really helps me put to use the various things I know and have knowledge in. You know, it's a great way for me to kind of exercise my creativity in a more holistic way. You should say I have an interest in science, you know, and all those things. I feel it's just more honest to who I am. You know, it's just like, yeah, I'm lazy. I don't want to keep my interests separate. I'd rather have them be together in one thing. There you go. Okay, roll. Let's see. Once I have a solid design, I make variations and play around the body plan. Fill out the environment with related species. Yeah, that's a great way to do it too. It's what, you know, you see me do it in shadow sculpting when I have my screens with Justin. That's a great way to do it too. I'm going to do the same thing for this guy once I kind of make this, I guess you would say, generalist progenitor species, and then I'll make some like variations. But I just kind of want to also have fun and kind of get a sense of like what this look like. I'm not trying to go too detailed, but just trying to have enough information to kind of give me an idea of where I'm heading. Also, I gotta figure out what this guy's face looks like from the front. He's probably gonna have like a wide apatosaurine kind of face. Since he got teeth in the front, I was thinking like a beak that's serrated would have the answer. Because, you know, it's, you know, in nature, it's, you know, it's economy. What you got that kind of makes all the difference. Maybe the bill gets softer here. I think it transitioned into more like, there we go. Size. But getting back to your to world building in general, and just kind of asking the folks around here, when you're doing your projects, or kind of when you start to approach a project, you kind of, you know, when you start a new project, or we kind of are renovating or rebooting or whatever you're doing, what are kind of things you want to achieve in a, like, I wouldn't say achieve, let me think. When you come to iterating on a world, what are some of the things that you like to keep in mind when you're trying to, like, the story you're trying to tell? Is there a narrative here? Are you just kind of building the world itself? Like, I've always been fascinated about, like, people's various approaches to, you know, how do they want their world to be kind of received, or what they want to do within that world. Is there a main character? Are there characters that are going to be important to the story? Like, you know, I know a lot of us here also write on top of the art we do. If you do art as well, it's completely fine if you don't. But if you're one of those folks who is, you know, working on projects right now, what are some of the things you like to keep in mind when you're, you know, creating those spaces and those environments and those characters? And forgive my audio. We have some dogs that are very, very loud. Love them to death. Oh my God, they are loud. But yeah, just creating some ideation with the head. Nope. Interesting. That's gotta be something interesting I gotta check into. My rotation seems to be not working. Okay, Photoshop's probably just being weird. It's not gonna keep me from drawing. So with this guy, kind of a thing I wanted to kind of pay homage to is the classic, quote-unquote, old school brontosaurid, kind of like Lost World sauropod kind of deal. Like a generic kind of like 1900s kind of looking fella. And I thought it'd make sense with like kind of having that kind of shape in my stegosaur. Like a true terrible lizard kind of feel. And like I said, folks, this is the first of many streams, and I'm still working out the details and ironing out the wrinkles and these things. Thank you for bearing with me. So, getting back to some of the creature questions, or I should say character design questions, what are some species that are like underrepresented that you really like to see more representation of in paleo media? Or I guess that would be more of a specific paleontology kind of paleo fan question, since, you know, I guess the island is, we focused on that. For me, I don't see much talk about heterodinosaurs, or like maybe more. Like I barely see anything about like megaraptorans, at least in like major like documentaries, like or Australian fauna. I like Australian dinosaurs. I think they're really cool. Maybe it's because there's not a lot of material for them for some. Oh, take it easy. See you, Dad. Have a good night. Okay. Maybe the spikes on the neck don't go all the way up. Kind of like the idea. Yeah, that seems better to me. Okay, let's see. I really like to see some, DigiZ said, I really like to see some ground sloths with prehistoric, like, oh my god, yeah, that'd be so lovely. I love seeing giant ground sloths, they're so cool. We need more sloth love. They are lovely animals, and we need more of them. They were really cool when I used to work at the Natural History Museum of Los Angeles, and they would put me at the La Brea Tar Pit site. It was cool to see our Harlan's ground sloth. They were so cool. And I used to work and volunteer in the fossil lab. So when I remember one time we were doing some cleaning, and was able to touch a giant ground sloth pelvis they were working on, and we saw the osteoderms they had, which is kind of crazy to think that they had osteoderms. You know, that it was embedded in their skin like chainmail. Ground sloths would be nice. Nice. But yeah, no, a world of sloths would be kind of cool. South America in general during like, was it the Pleistocene, Miocene? I am so bad with like the epochs. Like the time when terror birds were like fighting off saber-tooths is wild to me. This giant like modern dinosaurs pretty much just fighting through the lands, being wild and crazy. It was like such a wild time. Okay, getting into some minor details here. Let me just try and get this going. Once I get some nice little lines on the sky, probably around, I'll probably stop doing this and then move on to an environment. And then I'll probably end up the night with a prop for probably one of the dinosauroids. But yeah, I just kind of want to keep a nice pace and rhythm and really start practicing more of what I need to be doing as a up-and-coming Viz-Dev artist. Ugh, so many things you got to be good at. You got to draw everything. You got to world build the whole thing. I love that, but so much time. So many things to do and so little time. But hey, that's the nature of it. But yeah, So, okay, maybe like a ceratosaurian would be like a predator or an allosaurid. Or another thyreophoran, so like something between the ankylosaurids and the stegosaurids. I'm cool for any of that. Aegeum, I think, would be coming down here, so I think you wouldn't really see. So you wouldn't see the arm coming up really as much. It'd be slightly more masked by flesh, so it would look more like that. So the arm would be fatty right here. Very quickly, I'm just going to try to see what the face would look out like from the front. Well, actually, no, I'll save that. But, what's another kind of... I've actually been on a kick of seeing old documentaries again. I was rewatching When Dinosaurs Roamed America. I forgot how much of a vibe that one is. We were talking about eventually doing a series with the streams being Justin do, with having like a named individual species have like redesigns like Aladar from Disney's Dinosaur or like White Tip. I think it's also a cool thing when people do, when they kind of add a little more personality to their paleo art, is like when you make a named character. We're talking about that one artist, I forget, I keep drawing a blank on their name. I remembered it last time. They have their Tyrannosaurus character, which is really cool. Yeah, let me see. Would they have like a big brow ridge like this? I don't know. I'm kind of not feeling it as much. It feels a little too mammalian. I think not like super bad, but like I think it'd be more of a transition. Ah, there we go. That feels a little better. Something like that. Okay, just going to be working on the feet. You guys have kind of vaguely sauropod-like feet. And like I said, this character would actually go through a lot more, is going to go through, actually, I should say, a lot more ideation and kind of ideas. Maybe like the first two toes are like still there, and then the rest are kind of like nubs. Not like what they already have. Yeah. Ah, it seems I put the symmetry online by accident. It's okay. Fix this. One of my dreams, though, to be honest, once I get all these projects done, I really want, you know, at some point in the future, whenever that is, not really super like 24. It's a nice hope to have, and you know I want to make it happen. But it's something I'm just, you know, it'll happen when it does. I'd like to do like a straight up like documentary on these worlds that I want to build, and really frame it like something that's kind of like a National Geographic kind of thing, or Planet Earth. I would love to have that kind of vibe, because I really want to make it feel, you know, like I'm a huge fan of like analog horror, where like how that feels, you know, where it kind of feels like you're looking at some lost media that like this happened, but it didn't really. Something I've always, you know, loved as kind of a narrative device tool. How's this looking, folks? This guy looking kind of cool, believable. I mean, kind of digging it, but like it could still use some major changes in some places. But I don't know. How are you feeling about this? I'm open to suggestion, critique, whatever you think would be, you know, would make this design stronger. Thanks, Mom. Maybe like this now. And the place will change. So my idea... that's a good question. Okay. Can't wait to see the color schemes. Thanks, Justin. Question, will we expect to see sexual dimorphism traits in the species, plate size, coloring, and etc.? Yeah, I think there would be. You know, I know there's like a lot of ideas on like stegosaur anatomy and sexual dimorphism between male and females. I know this, like they may have had, you know, again, I definitely will be a lot more educated on stegosaur stuff after I'm done with these many thyreophorans I'm doing, but for the moment I'm still learning about them, you know, and appreciating them. But I have heard there are papers that kind of show or hint at that they might have different plate sizes depending, the plate shapes, depending on the sex of the species. Like a female, I think, has more rounded plates supposedly, while the male has more pointed. So maybe something like that. The plate shapes right here are also not finalized as well. I don't know if they're going to be kind of like this specific shape. I just do know one thing. I want the adult, like an adult like this, to have smaller plates, but come out because we display more against, you know, against predators when they're small. But when they get larger, the plates just don't grow with them, so they kind of stay the same size, much like Tyrannosaurus, and their arms. So it's kind of like through ontogenetic change, they kind of have these things that are acting as not vestigial, but their usefulness is not as much in adulthood anymore. Like when they're juveniles, they're needing to look bigger until they can reach, you know, true adult size. Which again, I'm still going to probably be thinking about, but I wanted to pay homage to that reference right there, to have that kind of old one. But yeah, probably in color, maybe size, maybe the depending on what I decide for the group, the groups of animals, you know, it can really change. Maybe the males are bigger, maybe the females are bigger. I do know that the males would probably maybe be more brightly colored, maybe like brighter color throat patches and whatnot. you know, they compete with each other. And also got to figure out like how they kind of do compete. I'm thinking maybe like, you know, these guys have really went super sauropody with like their anatomy, so they really go into like neck slamming and like biting with each other. I think they have like giraffes, maybe. No, they wouldn't be slamming heads into each other, but more so like, yeah, that's right. That spike would be more like this. That would be like this. That would be like that, and this would be like this. Like I said, this is just kind of a rough individual. Yeah, like this, like that. But yeah, but for Renaissance, it's going to be mostly this island is the main point. There is a point in the story, though, which will take place in the modern day, and that's where the narrative device of like where it's going to be is going to be very interesting. That is, you'll see. I'll reveal the details of that when this project is kind of starting to shape. So like maybe in cross section, it would be like, there we go. Sometimes it's always good to draw. It's actually always good to draw the shape through. Sense of labelling. So I roughed out the spikes. I'm going to just rough out the rest of the body. I'm just going to do a light color. Just call it for this before I, probably come back next week to do more like refined body edits and changes and just kind of getting a sense of like what the actual animal is going to look like before we start finalizing. I really want to do the whole proper Viz-Dev thing and really start thinking about what these guys look like. So their biggest toe is actually going to be more inline, like right here. Cool. And then they'll have smaller toes reaching out. Like 3 toes only. Yeah, the smallest toe is actually going to be on the outside, so. There you go. That's looking better. Okay, there we go. Big fleshy pad on the foot with these elongated calves. Like I said, I'm going to do like a rough kind of color pass on this, just to kind of get a sense. This is what I call it as an ideation sketch. So like in my process that I've kind of been working on, I go through many phases of design. I usually like to do an ideation sketch, which is pretty much like just what I'm thinking about, like pure instinct, nothing super crazy. Like I'm not even thinking about shape, silhouette. Like I just need to get the idea out of my head. I had something in my mind and I need to get it on paper. And this is, every design is a little different. This is something specific that is in my head, so I wanted to make sure that I got it out. Once I get past this, though, then I'll take this and then I'll do another silhouette study and start refining the shapes, because I now have like the general shapes of things. It's like, okay, I have the general shape of things. I got what was in my brain on paper, so I can kind of refine now. This is like cookie dough. This whole process is like baking. Just trying to make the ingredients. It's a good quote my friend Giacomo told me. It's like you're just making the Play-Doh and the ingredients that you're gonna be messing with. Okay, so I got this guy kind of roughed out. Got some general kind of shapes. Got some general feelings here. Now just kind of gonna double the line. We're gonna merge these lines into one. Double the lines, kind of make them stronger. There we go. Merge them again. Turn off this, turn off that. Just kind of pre-boot details in here that need to be, just kind of play. Again, this is all just within play. It's all within fun. Maybe the neck is also maybe some osteoderms going up here. It'd be like the remnant nubs of like what was the neck spines going higher up. Okay. So I got this super rough, super just, fun exploratory sketch. And then I'm going to start roughing in some basic color just to kind of get a flavor of this guy. Just kind of get an overall feeling of where this is going to go. Yeah, it's not looking bad. It's looking like a sauropod stegosaurid, which is kind of cool. Okay, let me just get this. There you go. Okay, Drew. Hey, man, just curious, if someone wanted to work on concept art Viz-Dev as possible career path, what would be important to know or learn aside from art obvious? Lol. That's a good question, I currently am in the program at my college, which is really good and really helpful. The main things that you want to be, art is one thing. It's a lot of professional stuff that you also should know. Be aware of your contracts. If you're getting gigs, make sure to know your rate, but also make sure to know that like when you're doing work, working on deadline, you're also going to be working in a group. You may not be the final person to see your drawing. It actually might be passed to a lot of people. You might be someone to start the drawing and someone else might take it. So team dynamic actually is a really good one. Working in a team, getting to work and rely on a team. And communication skills are important. That's a really big one. It's good to talk to people, good to make friends with people, good to understand things, and kind of just get a sense of flow in that kind of way. You also want to be very, in regards to art, you want to be very diverse in what you can do. So it's good to practice everything. I know that sounds like a lot of things at once, but break it down to chunks. Like you want to be good at your anatomy. And both animals and people, but also objects. It may seem intimidating and daunting at first, but these are cool things that you can actually dive into to kind of help you out. You just kind of want, I guess what the main word would be is versatility. You want to be versatile. You want to be able to show that you can work on whatever is asked of you. Hey, it's like, we need you to draw like a cyborg death machine, and then at the same breath, we need you to draw like a cute lobster character for a cartoon show. Yeah, you can do that. It just kind of challenge yourself to kind of constantly draw things that are out of your comfort zone. And that's part of the reason why I'm doing these streams, to practice more. But yeah, it's mostly those things. Again, be aware of your work and when you're working. Protect your own original works, copyright them if you can. If you need a good resource, a good one is ecocopyright.com, which is it's the Library of Congress one, so that's the actual one for the Office of Copyright. It's like $85 to copyright 10 items, and each item can be literally an item full of it could be a packet of 100 pictures. But yeah, protecting your IP, understanding your IP. But then when working on projects, mostly my main advice is learning teamwork, learn communication, being able to become fast. But don't be worried about being fast right now. Mostly be worried about being efficient. Speed will come with efficiency. That's what I wish I heard growing up, was kind of like the idea that I gotta be super fast right now, and it kind of whipped me into a frenzy, always thinking I have to be. It's like, no, once you get the fundamentals down and you got a good foundation, the speed will come. Promise me it does. Don't burn yourself out on trying to chase the speed of an artist that has been working for 20 years. It's not worth it. You'll get there in time. Even I need to be faster. I draw pretty fast, I think, but I need to be really fast. Those comic book artists, super fast when it comes to panel layout. But yeah, so flexibility, I guess you would say versatility, and also just be a good person, be chill, be friendly, be awesome. People like to work with people that are fun to work with, and the industry is very small. this is all the learning experience, and people want to grow together. So, just have a great time, have fun with people and kind of learn from them. And that's the cool thing about this industry, is that once you get into Viz-Dev, you can work on many projects and you might see the same people. But it's always cool to just challenge yourself. I hope that's helpful. I think that was kind of like a rambling answer, but the main, again, points I could take away from it is just, be very versatile. But yeah. Viz-Dev is so fun, though. You literally get to imagine for a living. But don't be discouraged. I will tell you that. The reality of this, it is a long, slow marathon, but it's very worth it to keep going. Take your time, go on your journey, meet other people, talk to other artists, make those connections, and have fun. Make genuine connections. It's, I'm going to Lightbox Expo, which is going to be really fun. I'm going to be meeting some new artists and getting my work looked at and critiqued. And I'm really excited. I need critique, and don't be afraid of critique when it's, something valuable. Of course, get someone that's going to give you a proper critique and not just saying, oh, I don't like this because I don't like it. That's not really helpful. Maybe true for their taste, but it's not really conducive. Find someone that's going to be able to break down what you need to work on. Like I said, just enjoy the journey, enjoy the process. No need to rush this, This will come in due time. Just focus on the techniques, focus on your interests, draw the things you like. Have I thought about going to SVP? I do really want to. I know a friend of mine went recently, and I really want to. I really would like to go to SVP. The problem is my schedule is really crazy right now. But once I have more time, like maybe next year, I definitely will want to go so bad. It seems so fun. I can meet fellow paleo enthusiasts as well and cool specky bars. I really want to go to TetsuCon, but that's all the way in the UK. But one day I'll go there. Okay. Enough little details. This is just the ideation sketch. Happy to be of service, man. It just, as artists, we should always help each other and give each other advice and feedback, and just be there for each other. We have good knowledge, and it's always nice to help someone else that is in a different stage of their journey or starting their path or in the middle. It's always good. It's always good to share knowledge between each other and help each other out. Oh, cool. So it's in Minneapolis next year. Oh, cool. That's good to know. I might get, maybe a flight or train over there. That's going to be awesome. All right. Okay, now starting colors. Let's see. Let's give it to the audience. Just again, this is rough colors. It's not going to be, indicative of what the final thing is going to be, but I just need something to kind of be there to kind of just, see where the contrast is. And this is super rough. So, let me make this fun. The first three colors I see in chat, I'm gonna make this guy that color. I'll make those work. So, whatever first three I see, that's gonna be the color palette for this one. And who knows? It might be the final one if it's cool. I might keep that. I'll give you guys, a little while to maybe chat and type some things, type some colors. Anyone wants to? Huh. Not any just yet. That's okay. While that happens, I'm going to get the new file open. this one's going to be for the landmass or scene I'm going to be doing starting at 7:30, and I'll be working on that and roughing that out too. And then to end the night, probably around like 9 o'clock, I'll be working on the prop probably for the dinosauroids. You get yellow vibes, so you feel like yellow. Okay, cool. Yellow, I can get yellow as a start. Just need 2 more if anyone wants to. Completely fine. It's very optional. Let's go like, there we go. Let's get a nice gold. Ooh, a gold, yellow, kind of goldy. That'd be kind of cool. So let me make a little palette. We got yellow. Anyone want to add? Oh, reddish brown. Okay, brownish red, so like a rust. These are looking pretty good actually. Ah, interesting. So there. Like that. Ooh, banded or spotty type, like a monitor lizard. Okay, let me just pull up a reference for that. Like a mottled. Let me just see that. Oh, sick. Okay, I see. That's actually really good. Thanks, folks. I'm gonna say, ooh, actually that'd be a really good one for reference. Copy. Okay, so I got yellow and brownish red, and you know what, I'll just fill in the last one, maybe like, just to add a little bit of contrast, to kind of remind myself that they're a little birdie. Yeah, sometimes Photoshop gets weird, and like some of the things that I use don't work, but it's okay. Maybe not a green. Maybe... yeah, I'll just add like a little blue. Okay, cool. All right, I'm gonna start doing some like kind of rough colors and just kind of playing around. Again, this is just kind of roughing an idea, so I'm not going to really go like full on like make a flat layer and do the proper, quote unquote way to actually do my color flats. This is just for me to kind of get an idea of things. Also, a really good thing, which I'm learning more so, a great resource to pull from when like you're learning like Illustrator skills or PaleoArt skills, or just when you're drawing in general, learn from animators, like the simplification of what animators do to make things easier to draw constantly, frame by frame. So transferable, even when you're doing painterly stuff. Conserving lines, details when necessary. What do you need? What do you really need? Do you really need this? And then when you add detail, it's on purpose and purposeful. It's a lot of things. Pull from techniques from a myriad of influences. You don't have to just kind of stay within the world of PaleoArt, which is the cool thing about it. It's still a very cool art form. You can do a lot of things. Like even pull from like comic books. That's mostly where I get my kind of feel from. I grew up like wanting to be a comic book illustrator, so I guess I've always been kind of like tied to a little bit of that, and also fantasy illustration as well. I like this. This is really cool. There's also other things I have to consider too, like what is their integument going to look like? Are there going to be other additional things that I'm going to add? It'll take time. I kind of like this long, upturned face that I gave him. He's a serious boy. He's just very... He's like he's already over things, you know. And now he's even more over it that, like, you know, sauropods are coming through, and he's like, whatever. You can have the forests. There are also projects that I think, you know, you folks might find interesting. Like one of them that are like, not so much my projects, other Spec Evo projects. One of the things that I find always sad, though, is like when a Spec Evo project dies, and it's understandable. Sometimes people just don't have the time to work on it right at the moment. And it's not saying they could be gone forever. But one of them was one that I remember way back in the day, which is the Speculative Dinosaur Project, which is a huge inspiration for even this project. That one had some cool species that they were working on. Like, there was a semi-aquatic stegosaurid there, and there was like these cool like ceratopsian sauropods that look so rad, and like there's also like these, you know, giant like Saurolophine hadrosaurs, like they like Uber Montosaurus. But I love that project. It was really cool. Great art. They had like these saber-toothed tyrannosaurs. Does anyone remember that project, the Speculative Dinosaur Project? I don't know if it's still going around. Okay. Yeah, it's a very old project. You could look, I think there's like a wiki that's kind of like a remnant of what that was. So would these guys be counter-shaded? You like that? No, you can't even make the tone out for that. Yeah, it was a really, yeah, it was like maybe the late thousands going to the 2010s, but it was a long time ago. Either way, it was a really influential project to me. I thought it was really cool. Let me just do what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna pull my reference again and some bands on this guy. First, I'm going to select this, and then make another layer, just to make it easier. Maybe the top is like this. Yes, okay. There's some ideas. Yes, okay, okay. There we go. Yeah, okay. Is it all like all yesterday's? Kind of. I don't think it would be like all yesterday's. It was or maybe it was kind of more of like a loose kind of thing. I don't think it was a book. It was more so like it was like a bunch of creators were co-creating this like Spec Evo world, and it was like this thing that they were working on. But I don't remember really what happened to it at the end of it. Arms. Make the color of the beak now still be in that kind of red. Just make it darker. Okay, so maybe, there we go. There we go, some like, there we go. Yeah, okay. Some bands on the eyebrows. Oh, maybe not, maybe just, there we go. Yeah, there we go. Always good to just kind of play around with your designs too. Like I said, these aren't going to be the final colors, but I'm just going to keep playing with them. I'm looking at like some banded monitors right now. I think actually I'm kind of doing this wrong. It would be like, I think it would be like this, and then okay. I see it is now. One second. Maybe something like this. Something like. Yeah, there we go. Use the negative space. See, that's better. Yeah, this is looking good. Like I like the suggestions, everyone. This is like really helpful. I like them. Let me just add some more of this into the neck, like a nicer transition to things. How are we looking, chat? It's kind of yellow, red, orange kind of looking guy. Digging it. Let's see, where do I want to add this blue? He is looking spiffy. Actually, how about, let me add one layer. Maybe the blue is like a display color. Maybe it's on the top of the head. Maybe it's the eye. That's kind of cool. I like the eye being blue. Like a focus thing. It's on the bottom of the... Yeah, oh, you know, that works too. Maybe... There we go. Maybe... some iridescence to it. Ooh, that'd be nice. Maybe some... Maybe the males like display their necks and they sing. You know what? I'm gonna canonize that. These guys sing. They're really good singers. So I like that meme. It was like, you know, with stegosaurs actually were really good singers, but you would never know. It's like, this is true. That's my headcanon. Stegosaurs have beautiful singing voices. You can't tell me otherwise. Of course, if you actually show they can't, but hey, come on, give me something. That's not bad. That's looking pretty good. That's pretty okay. Stego fritter? Yes, I am here for this. Yes, you have no idea how ready I am for Stego Mercury. Okay, now I'm going to add one more color to kind of sell this a little more. Need something a little dangerous. You know, big danger color, like a red. Mamo, yeah. Mama. Yes, I could already see, but this is the thing though, like when you get ideas like this is how you get into some nice world building. Maybe it would convene in the lowlands, so that means it would clear trees. Ah, there we go. So a behavior and also adaptation to the environment. So they would do lekking, like, the Dreadnoughtus and Prehistoric Planet, except you can't really, do much of that when you're on a small island chain. It's mostly forest, so they mowed the forests down and becoming these, larger herbivores to take down areas and trim back the forest, and they also use it for lekking, for the males to do lekking during the mating season. So they make large groups and compete with each other, and they have their nesting grounds. Oh, cool. These are just general ideas you can come off with the Dome when you're just doing evening designs. After this... Okay, I'm going to be trying to wrap this up soon so I can move on to the environment. Anyone out there working on their own, or I'm not saying at the moment, but anyone have their own world building projects you're working on, or wanting to get into your own Spec Evo world building projects? Or it doesn't have to be Spec Evo, it could be whatever you want. I was excited to hear about people and what they're working on. What lores are you making, folks? Anything that you'd like to share, nothing, to go into detail if you don't want to. Completely at your discretion. I'm still working on palm-sized thumbnails. It'd be like that. Like, I work on so many thumbnails for so many things. A lot of my sketches actually start in my book. I have a couple of zero time. I feel that so hard. Like, I have so many things so many projects. You squeeze them in when you can. Like, I do a lot of my rough ideation sketches in my sketchbook, like a traditional pen and pencil. And sometimes mostly actually it's fun to scan them in and then work on it there. And then I do a lot of cross transfer. Like, I do something digitally first, and then I just start ideating into my book. But yeah, it's all about when you have the time. So many things. Ugh, life can get in the way. it's good that you have some things and you can also be creative in other ways. I like to take audio notes. Like if I'm driving and I can't, of course, don't text and drive, folks. Be safe. But if I can, I put the audio notes on and I just kind of talk an idea out, and so I have it for later. So I can write things down for later. Okay, cool. Let me just. There we go. What is my favorite paleo media soundtrack? Funny you ask. I've been listening to When Dinosaurs Roamed America soundtrack, which is done by Tangerine Dream, which is an amazing band. But if I had to be very honest, like completely honest about like my favorites, like historically and now, if I had to say now, it'd be Prehistoric Planet. That is just lovely. Hans Zimmer knocked out the park. I love his music anyway, and it's lovely. But if I had to be very honest, it's the Dinosaurs 1992 soundtrack by Peter Melnick, which you can find anywhere. And it's like super like of the time. It's very dated. It's early 90s, but I love that 90s synth. Like if you got, anytime you put like a horn flute with like some cool synth work, you got me. It's simple. It's easy. I'm sorry. I love that. Love that so much. It's so cool. It's a really good soundtrack, especially the track Flying Things. I named a piece after that. Exactly. You know exactly what I'm talking about. It is an amazing, goated piece of paleo music score. Underappreciated, really lovely. Wish they would do more with. In fact, you know what? I want to do something with that when I finally get to do my own documentary. Don't get me wrong. Having nice CGI is nice, but if I'm going to do it, I want it to be that kind of cool 2D animated, like infographic kind of thing. That's kind of the vibe I'm going for my own brand anyway. Hey, almost there. We're almost there. Bring it home. Need to finally start work on the scene. So I'm going to be thinking about maybe. Well, okay, hold on. Here we go. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, Disney's Dinosaur is amazing too. I cannot forgive my blindness. I cannot forget about that one. That was a classic. Especially the egg travels, phenomenal. Okay, and I think that's good for a rough. Yeah. What do you think, folks? That's kind of a little easy into it. So I have my rough design for my pseudosauropod on the island. Malcolm's Journey is a really good one. It's Graham! This is true. Malcolm's Journey is amazing. The Lost World soundtrack is fantastic. Thank you. I was trying to go for like, what says I'm dangerous? Like, don't touch me. Like, get away from me. Good boss. Yeah, no, I kind of wanted the, like, I was looking at monitor lizards and vaguely thinking about, like, blue-tailed skinks. It's like something that, like, what would be like, hey, leave me alone. Like, I can and will, like, mess you up pretty bad if you do not leave me alone. But at the same time, something that also is beautiful. It kind of get the vibe that these guys just kind of are solitary for most of the year until they go to the forests, until they create a large patch of ground to do things. Okay, cool. All right, now let's think about environment. So I'm going to be working primarily here, and I need to kind of think about, where is this, what I'm going to be drawing. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to be working on the environment. So maybe in keeping the theme of this, but I think I should do more just kind of a nice scene for the environment. So it's a landmass, it's an island, it's in the tropics, it's near the equator. There's a lot of things I can do, and I got to pull some reference out first to kind of get an idea. It would be a good reference. It's cretaceous, so grass really ain't more than that. It's like a very good kind of place to kind of look. Of course, I do a lot more research to get the environments looking, but I want to challenge myself to do a little more and do some more environmental design. First, let's get a sketch. Actually, let's get a nice little thumbnail series going. Do this. So I'm going to make like some thumbnails right now, which is a great first step for anything that you want to do. And I'm just going to do gray. There you go. And then I'm going to separate them. That's a place. Okay, cut, paste in place. Cool. And then cut, paste in place. Okay, so I'm going to be working on, a scene from the island chain. Would be a good kind of scene. I'm going to go through a couple, and I'm going to have everyone kind of choose their own, choose their favorite to kind of focus on. So I'm just going to make some quick little thumbnails, and then I'll start finding the one we choose as a group. Whoever I see likes one more. All right, let's get to it. I'm going to call this and that. I'm going to do this. Put something right here. Okay, so I'm just going to do basic 3 tones, nothing crazy. I'm going to have the darkest be the closest item, and the mid-tone be the middle, and the lightest be the farthest away. Maybe it's a good scene here. Maybe I can do something like, I had the little dinosauroids, the Antornithine ones, which I call the Zlolhish. They live in little villages that are on stilts as a kind of a predator deterrent. So maybe have one of them looking up here. Maybe do it like a cool 3-point perspective. Again, this is super rough. Not to be super crazy, just have my one in the frame here. Maybe they have a notepad. Would they be working with a notepad? Maybe a cuneiform tablet, something that is like writing. Maybe a big rock right here. A branch coming in. Branch maybe a stick. Yeah, I'm a little carried away. Let me first rough in a general idea to figure these things out. So maybe if they're looking up. Coolest things I learned is that everything really is just a variation of three-point perspective, not really 2D when you're thinking about real life, which makes sense. You're just looking at variations of 3-point from different angles, which gives the illusion of 2D or 1 point. Maybe a nest is being constructed right here. Maybe it's a tilted angle. That could work. Always feel free to resize. The thing has got to be committed. Yeah, maybe they climb up into these things. There we go. It's kind of a wicker thing. Select. Maybe something like that. It'd be kind of like a big bird's nest. And that'd be kind of cool. Maybe they got like little things underneath it where they kind of communally go. Maybe the staircase goes up. Something for that. Just kind of roughing out some general perspective lines. The ground would be here. Yeah, I really need to practice more my environment and buildings. This takes up like this kind of space, like a tile. Yes, let me yeah, there we go. It's reading a little better. There we go. They go to roost up here, and maybe they kind of do their normal chores out here. Have little things, maybe like some stone works. Maybe they're tanning hides. The coolest thing is, though, when I'm doing these projects is to kind of consider, like, again, getting back to what we were talking about earlier, how the beings in the environment are going to live, to kind of reference up to it. So the Zalhish are these, like, I don't know, it's like sheep-sized, I'd say. Kind of, very they're birds, pretty much. They're large, they're very agile on their feet, they're very light. They come from flying ancestors, they're flightless. So a lot of cool things I can play with. So I like the idea of their nests being kind of like, their housing being just kind of like the same thing as like nesting kind of habitation. Yeah. Well, I don't want to get too lost in ideation sketch, so let me just add something. Background of that's going to be the... So maybe in the back will be the forest. Here in the mid will be always good to have and keep these things in mind while you're doing visual development. Like, where is everything in relation to each other spatially? Like, this would actually be coming this way. Just again, super general. The forest actually would be going like this. Yes, okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, okay, gotcha. Sorry. Forget the trees are going to be angled in more because they're going to be slightly... There's a theoretical third-point perspective. I can't really see what I'm doing. It's like a theoretical third-point perspective, like somewhere up here that all the lines are converging towards. So I always wanted to make sure that the trees angle towards that too. So, yes, there we go. That reads a little better. Select. Okay, so I got some kind of basic ideas of things. Let me just add some more details to the line art. Let's kind of get an idea. Like, maybe these trees are like ginkgos or something. Have to do more research, but hey, it's all for fun right now. It's all about, again, diversity of, and versatility. Practice these things, I know they can be, again, for me, they were super intimidating. They still kind of are sometimes to like have to draw these things. But once you break it down, you can get really nice storytelling in these aspects. And it really just helps bring your world to life, to think about their environment now, to think about what they're doing. Okay. Maybe there won't be such a character in here because we could be more the focus, but I can put something else here, maybe. Maybe a kiln. Maybe a character. We're gonna do like 4. My little dinosauroids. Maybe someone's coming in the frame. Like that. Someone's coming into the frame. So we're looking up at the house. Maybe someone else is there. Maybe. Yeah, okay, cool. So maybe they're doing like vertical incline running, and that's how they get into the kind of thing. You can always keep ideas of like small, medium, and large. My friend Armando, really good gauge for that too. He's got a really good sense of that in his work, and I really appreciate him. There we go. There, just like a domestic scene. It's a good kind of general thing right there. We'll leave that one at that, and we'll move on to the next one. We'll group that for group 1. The cool thing is, though, is that every aspect of the scene is even going to be worked on too. So, like, even how the houses are built and regional variants of the houses are going to also be thought of as well. So that's going to be cool things to kind of work on as we go through this series. I think I'll say on, Renaissance, we're probably, depending on how many episodes I want to dedicate, like we can change. I want to keep things fresh for myself, so we might change through different projects in different universes because I have a lot of things I want to show you folks. They're going to be really cool. I'll also show you the other dinosaur. I know I said there are two on the island that are intelligent. Two different groups. The other one came from Rabidontid. I was looking at Zalmoxes and Muttaburrasaurus as an inspiration. So, and they're called the Hrugun. I actually really like how these guys are coming along. I know these are really rough, but I like the idea that this species has more dexterous arms and they actually have more finer movements. Zolhish mostly use their hands and their mouth for like tool use. So they have things that they have invented to grip out their mouth like crows. But the Hrugun can actually like do fine detail work with their fingers. First of all, let me save this so we're not gonna lose this. Moving on to the next one. Another general kind of sketch, maybe something more like what's a good scene, a good environment. Would they have cities? Maybe villages, I think. I don't think much of these cities. What would their cities look like? Or villages, large villages look like? Probably something like, first let's get the good ground line. Where am I seeing this from? What is my camera? Let's put the scene. Probably stuff like this. This is probably what like a good idea of like a large town would be. They look like these oblong structures that are like going down into the ground. And I imagine they'd be connected by like large wood logs, pretty much, and then that's not good. I was drawing on the same layer. It's never a fun time. It's okay. Nope, didn't want to do that. Drag this down. Did it again. Hey, really gotta pay attention, Gar. There we go. Oh, now I'm on the right layer. Third time's the charm. Sorry, folks. Thank you for bearing with me. I'm trying my best. Yeah, feel free to ask me any questions, though. I'll try answer more lore questions. I'm really excited to share the project, at least in the details that I can. A lot of things I'm working on for the story. It's like, I'm thinking like a big house right here. Maybe like one right here. Maybe interconnected. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Like little connected floating things. So the ornithopods are kind of, the funny thing is though, so the Andornithines, I'm kind of feeling like they're more like, so this is how they kind of, at least in my mind, you know, kind of adapted to communities. The Zlolhish, the Andornithine bird-like ones, they came as predators. They were like I said, they were ornithine birds that came to the island, and due to a vacuum, at least in the portion of the island that had large faunal niches early on, they were able to adapt and fill that role. They adapted to more cooperative hunting abilities, and it was very crow-like at first. Eventually, they started using tools, much like crows and primates did, to get more prey and navigate their environment more. So it was, for them, it was a driver of that eventually led to be, you know, a Sophont species with culture and, you know, having like a, you know, art and, you know, making tools and doing stuff like that. And like I said, these beings, both of them, are equivalent to human beings during the Neolithic or Mesolithic. But I'm not going to say like it's exactly like. I really want to stress that I want to take more great care into like how they solved problems and how they express their own creativity. Just know that right now that it's equivalent to that. They're not like making, you know, they're not doing agriculture or things of that nature, at least in any huge degree. They're not doing, you know, these things. They do have stationary settlements, you know. They do have that, you know, they don't tend to move around as much, but that's mostly based off, you know, practices and behaviors endemic to their species, which we'll get into. So to kind of answer your question though, the Zlolhish, the Andornithine bird ones, they had a complex series of vocal communication, and things had a more increased meaning, which meant like having more symbolic and imaginative thought, kind of, you know, read regions that they would go to. With that being said, you know, a big driver of their intelligence, like I said, was predation. You know, they were predators that really used their intelligence to hunt down their prey. But also an added benefit due to that complexity of communication. It led them on the path to gaining something a little more in the long run. Now, for the ornithopods, or I should say the Hrugan, theirs came from something similar, but more so in communal living as a survival strategy on the island. You know, descending from Rabodont ancestors that were like early ancestors of the same stock that would lead to the evolution of Muttaburrasaurus that would end up on the island. You know, and these, again, with these ideas, I'm still workshopping a lot of them, and a lot of this will go through revision. But I'm thinking about something of like, it has to be within the means of like, they are burrowing into the ground and making these large tunnel-like nest structures, kind of like ground turkeys. And as a survival strategy, living in close proximity with each other, they kind of had a hierarchy, almost like mole rats or termites. Eventually, though, it too led them on the path of, gaining intelligence in the way that survival against, funny enough, a predator like the Slawhish and other intelligent ones required them to be more strategic in like how they would construct things, and how they would forage and what times. So they're very strategic and they have a good sense of time scale, at least, for them, like when the predators are out at these times and what things to do. So for them, it was visual language and, creating sculpture and more complex networks within their homes that really led them to kind of have more, that set them on the path to kind of have that spark of intelligent thought. In short, the Slawhish kind of act as like forest, I wouldn't say elves, they're more like, they're the ones in the trees. They kind of love, hanging around there. They're still active carnivores, and they do hunt. The Hrugan are more omnivorous, but they do eat more kind of roots and tubers and fungal matter, but they do eat meat every now and then. I was always imagining the Hrugan being kind of like saurian hobbits. Like they craft things. And they're very staunch little guys. Like both of them are like equal in size, pretty much. Okay. Real quick, just kind of making sure I check. Yeah, we're thinking of this kind of like little connected large village of Slawhish. 3 main tripodal things, and then they have these things, and they have, yeah, there we go. Okay, now time to kind of rough it in with some basic tones. The lighter will be the farther away. Mid-tone. Like I said, be flexible, because I really wanted to kind of show more of this environment. So let me... Oh, that'd be kind of cool, like having a little walkway made of like little things going up. Okay. And this is the cool, fun part of it, when I'm just kind of having an easy time figuring things out. And maybe this little village sits on a coastal like inlet near a river. Oh, there's some dunes in the background. Maybe this is on a beach somewhere. But like I said, I've been needing to do more research and kind of thinking about like how they contextualize their environment, like what are their religions, if they have any, what's their belief system even going to be like, what do they do, where do they go, what is a taboo to them, what matters. I work also with a world building consultant that I hire through the character consultancy, and she's really good at kind of helping me like focus on things, and kind of sometimes I get lost in the weeds just a little bit, you know. It's like, oh, where do I even start? And I think it's always kind of a good thing to kind of consider like where your characters are going to be, like again, what's the point of the story to a degree, I guess you could say. But I always kind of want to make sure a big rule that I like to do, and I've preached this before, I like to do a lot of imaginative realism. So when I'm working on my characters, whatever they are, even if they're fantastic metahuman, post-human gods of the future, or cute little dinosauroids on an island, I want to make sure that they feel believable in their environment, and that I took great care and consideration of like what they're going to be doing, you know, how they're going to be existing in their world, how they manipulate it, what is important to them, and what is the most important things to keep in mind. It takes a lot of time. It's a lot of research, I said. It's also a lot of just kind of, you know, so what do I want to see, you know, in the project? You know, it would be kind of an interesting thing for me to see. For me, it's like why I chose like these two specific groups is because I always felt there was an oversaturation, which is understandable. It's a cool trope, and it's a very fun one to have, like, you know, intelligent troodons or troodontids. Don't get me wrong, I love my troodons and troodontids. They're fun. But I felt like there could be something more there. And like I said, there's a great book that I saw, or it was actually this YouTube channel I watched called like Bano Diego, I think. And they were talking about West of Eden. And it was a cool book where they had like, of course they were like humans, but they're not really humans. They were like evolved from New World monkeys instead of Old World apes. But they were fighting a race of, you know, mosasaur descendants that were super intelligent. And they had bred their tools, and that was a cool concept because it was like a new take on like other intelligence on Earth rather than it being other non-human intelligence on Earth, rather than it being just a standard dinosauroid. It was something a little more interesting, a little more unique, you would say, at least from my taste. I thought that was really cool because it gave such insight to the world that the writer was trying to build. I felt like I believed the characters a little more. I believed the world more. I felt like the characters had context, you know, there was history to them. They had reasons for being and what they wanted and what they needed. I think that's a very important thing to do when you're world building, is to kind of consider the context of your world, like how it changes, how the characters will be, you know, what cultures have come before. Like I said, you don't have to do super detailed, you know, there's like a spectrum of world building. It can be hard or soft. Like hard would be like Tolkien, like we're really thinking about the languages, the migration of the people, and so on and so forth. But soft could be something like, you know, Ghibli, where you're leaving it more to the audience to make up their mind on what happened, or what was the circumstances of the story. These are things that are all, you know, tools that you can use when you're world building. I feel like this has helped me kind of really gain more of a sense of like the characters and their environment, what they're doing, how they're doing, you know, what matters to them, what doesn't matter to them. I think it's very important to kind of have those things. But yeah, you know, stuff of that nature. me see. Where am I at? Nope, that was wrong there. Okay, what's that? Okay, cool. That looks good. Little village. And now let's just put the villagers. These little tiny ones over here. And don't have to go too crazy. They'd be sitting down like this. Maybe that. Maybe some fishermen heading out to the beach. Or I wouldn't say they're fishermen, more like fisher sores. I think this town will be, you know, these couple settlements. Actually, no, the next one I'll do some like Krogan kind of stuff. The lake would be coming down here, and then the other lake would be coming this way. Just taking a normal stroll. I want him to be like he's running. There we go. There we go. Cool. Maybe it's a male, and then maybe there's a female like right here that's like a little larger. And be aware of tangents too. Just always kind of be thinking about your composition. So. These who are going out fishing, maybe they got like cool little rods. Like, where would they do the rods? Maybe they hold it by their mouth. This sideways. Yeah, that'd be cool. Maybe another villager up here. You know, someone's maybe climbing up on the roof. Maybe someone else is sitting here. And it's always good to have someone here in the main image. Let me getting a nice kind of rule of thirds going. A little similar to the last one, but that's okay. We can change it up in many other ways. I just kind of want to add something here. Here's some more sitting here. Maybe one coming down the steps. Maybe a couple here. Maybe like a couple babies running through. Maybe another little juvenile there. And maybe, yeah, I think that would do it. And maybe just kind of like to have something. What do you folks think? I think we're getting the rhythm of it, you know? See, that's another thing. I'm trying to do more scenes to loosen up. It's been a long time, and I was like, you know, I need to practice more of my sceneries. And of course, I can think about their little clothes they wear, or if they need to wear clothes, or well, if we figure that out, I'm pretty sure they would wear some kind of clothing, but like it'd probably be like accents or stuff. They're mostly covered in feathers. Okay, let's move on to some Hirogan stuff. It's group 2. Okay. I'm thinking we're going to try and finish these last two little thumbnails, and then I'm going to try and do a prop, and try to be done by like 9, maybe 9:30 if I go a little over, but that should be probably the end of it. For this first inaugural solo stream. Yeah, thanks, Drew. Yeah, I was looking at it's a very specific reference I was looking at from my Pinterest boards that I collect images for. It was a species of bird. I think it was a bird of paradise that kind of makes these little. Nests that are on stilts pretty much, and they it's very interesting how they do it, and they look like these weaved objects, and I really thought that was a cool behavior that of course a non-avian nester can have. Yeah, I kind of wanted to make sure that what they're going to be doing. I also thought it'd be advantageous. I have to do more research on like how they would be in the wind, like how they would handle in the wind, like maybe the holes are made for airflow, because I kind of imagine like they kind of have two structures that they do. They have the sitting and housing area on top, and they're different by region. Like you might see bigger housing structures, but depending on where they are, like the one to the left maybe is someone that's a little more secluded and forested, and they can have more time on the ground. Mostly I just want these to be solutions to predators. They still live in a world with like large carnivorous, animals and large, megafauna. So I was thinking it would be kind of like an interesting way for their solution is that they get off the ground and they just kind of build these structures above. Reminiscent of the trees that they would fly in, kind of like an ancestral memory. Not specifically that, but like something that I guess you could say would be like, you can see remnants of like their habits. Yeah, let me do a Hirogan kind of thing. Maybe it's an interior. That's actually what I need to do, an interior. These guys have like these huge cave-like mounds of shared communal nests that they do. And they are avid, they use clay. And they are good sculptors. Like a little step going down. So these guys are like tunnelers. Maybe they have little structures they make. Again, it's coming from this point of view. Really adjust my perspective. This is like really rough. If I go in, I'm going to go in proper with grids. You know, if I select one of these thumbnails to actually work on, which I'm probably going to do all of them at some point. It's just the cool thing about when you're thumbnailing is like you can technically use any of them. It's just when do you want to focus? Which one do you want to focus on? So I'm trying to think about what they were using these kind of window-like structures. They're like carved into the thing, and maybe they're reinforced with like wood. Or maybe this is the outside. You know, this is like big entryways into these large nests. Let's see. It's a little more rounded, you know, a little less angular at the top because probably wouldn't be as much. Yeah, it makes me think about like how they're constructing their homes. Maybe they're doing like wood structure and then covering it in mud and like maybe that material. Things are rough. Let me just kind of reiterate. There's a lot of just kind of winging it right here, right now. These are ideation sketches. I'm just trying to feel the scene out, kind of feel what I'm going to be needing here. Imagine light coming in from the outside here. Ah, that makes it look cool. Entryway there. Maybe this area has significance to their culture. Maybe their equivalent of a shaman will come here at a specific time in this little sand hut, like floor area to do something specific. Maybe storytell, maybe have a meeting. But I do like the idea of an open space here with this kind of, you know, held with log openings that's overlooking the outside. Maybe this is at the center of the village, so it's like not as easily accessed by the predators. Maybe they have large fences. That's a cool thing about these things. You can start ideating and start thinking about, you know, your world, and that's what ultimately is great Viz-Dev and world development. It's ultimately your vision of what you want this to be. I think that's what's important to remember. When you're creating your own worlds, it is your world that you're creating. I'm just doing this because I really love these kinds of things. These are the things that get me super excited to combine, and not so much combine, but express. I love, these things, and I can't say how much I can't tell you enough how much I do. It's really something that drives my every day. I enjoy these things with great fervor. But that's the thing about it. This is what I want to do, and how I see my world building projects, and how I want to kind of create things. But with you, when you're creating yours, it's completely your oyster. You can do whatever you want. And I find that really fascinating. I love seeing people's world building projects. Again, as I said, it opens my eyes to what other people find interesting, what their interests are. I think that's something cool. It gives a peek into your world. What were the things in your life that inspired you to do these things? So, let's kind of add some little ones here. So maybe Rogun, maybe a big one right here. So super much in frame. Here, maybe just move them this way. And, be an interesting way. Maybe they communicate mostly through like they do vocal communication, but with a better way for them to communicate, especially them being animals that were once prey animals, specifically for a lot of things, is through maybe eyes and a hand sign. Because they have such dexterous hands and such good finger dexterity, maybe that'd be something interesting. And there you have a culture that does not really talk like the way you would expect, or maybe doesn't vocalize the way you would expect. It's something they don't vocalize. What if their primary mode of communication between each other is using hand signs and body language and eyes? So maybe two of them are having a conversation about like something specific. Maybe the mushroom harvest is going bad, and this guy is just reporting to his boss. Or maybe there is a large Abelisaurid spotted on the perimeter of the village, and they gotta put everyone on alert. Or maybe they're, inviting them to go to their party. If they have parties. Usually they do. Who doesn't like to have a good celebration? He's like, what? You said it was like, what? That's the thing. You can play with, you're in your head. What do they think? What are they doing? How are they doing? What matters to them? Show a Godzilla arm dance or we riot. Yes, exactly. You know what? I will do that. That is going to be you know what? That now is canonically a victory dance amongst their people. Just for that. Just for that. You think I'm playing, but I will. That's a great idea. See, again, this project itself, as serious as it sounds, like I'm also just using this as an excuse to kind of give my love letter to like paleo art and paleontology in general. Like I really just love the idea of kind of making a project to kind of exemplify how the science itself has evolved over the years, And like I said, a lot of my universes are what's the word looking for, selfish or fetish world building, where I just like, no, I wanted a Spec Evo dinosaur world, or I wanted a genetic engineering timeline with hypermutants, or I wanted an alien warrior planet. And that's the thing. That's unabashed, Some of it will get super fantastic and crazy, but at the same time, I do want to keep it within the confines of like what could be, even if it's more ludicrous. I still want to have that flavoring of like a tangible reality. Like I said, I just want them to feel they live in their own world, world that is tangible and feels like it is. Cotangent on their, what they give and take. Okay, last one. What would be kind of a good scene? Ooh, everyone likes a good fight scene. Maybe two rival clans of like Zolhish, or maybe a Zolhish warrior fights a Hrogun warrior. Maybe it doesn't happen often. Maybe it's a chance encounter. Maybe it's the first encounter. This is more of a scene of action. I guess it wouldn't be as much an environmental scene because there are characters in there. Let me think of something more environmental. What's important landmarks to them? Actually, that's a good thing. Would they have places of sacred significance or places that matter to them? What if there's a... That's the thing I gotta remember to... Oh, I was about to draw on the same layer again. Maybe it's, here. Maybe there's like a mountain range or a specific rock formation that has importance. Or, you know what, here, a vista. Yeah, there we go. There it is. Maybe it's a vista going through a winding waterway. There we go. I feel like I'm going into a Bob Ross kind of state right now. Just place your water wherever you want. Happy little accident. That's okay. It's your world. You make it the way you want. That's the beauty of these things. It's all fun. You put it at ease, and you just kind of let yourself draw. The thing is, I really want to stress to you folks, it's just like you don't have to... I know there's a big tension, and I understand. It's understandable. If you want to take this seriously and make it into a career, there's a lot of things you're going to have to really understand. And yes, there's going to be a lot of professional standards you're going to get to, but you'll get there in time. The main important part about being an artist, and regardless of what you do, is to have fun with it. When you were little and ideating and just creating and just kind of in a state of flow, you didn't really care about these things because, they didn't matter. Bring a little bit of that spirit back to your work, when you're older, and you get wonders from it because you're allowed to just make mistakes and have fun with it. There's a lot of things I can improve on. There's a lot of things I will improve on, but I won't beat myself up because I know I'm on my journey. And I will have down days, and I will have off days, and there will be days where it doesn't flow as good. But at the end of the day, I know so long as I keep at it in a way and I have fun with it more above else, each drawing is a piece of fun for me. Like, this is awesome. Like, I'm having a good time just kind of making this little mountain face. And maybe they have sacred significance to them. Maybe both. Who knows? And this is the thing, I'm just trying to think about the world that they live in. What are they doing? And maybe... There we go. Make another layer. Back it down. I just want people to... I guess a big, mission for me is for people to enjoy art. Enjoy your art and enjoy the power of your art and have fun with it. Like, you can be serious. I'm not saying there's not a time for that, but if that is the only thing, take maybe a step back and try to see what you're really trying to do this for. Because you are doing something amazing. You're creating worlds. You're creating story. I think that's important. Mid-tone. There we go. But yeah, a lot of my world building projects literally is because I loved specific world building projects that other people had made. Like, trust me, you're going to see a lot of like my influences. I am not ashamed of my influences. Like, this is literally World of Kong inspired, or like, everything paleo media from the last like 2 decades, pretty much. Maybe light's hitting there, so that means shadow would be this way, so that means this waterway would be in shadow. There we go. Maybe more light here. That means more light would be hitting here. Yes, okay, so that. Cool. Like a little rock outcrop on like maybe a barren, craggy area of land. Or maybe I'll just let this breathe, you know, and maybe the only thing I would have here maybe is maybe a large pterodactyl, a large Wukong-ipterid megafaunal pterosaurs flying here. Maybe one there, and maybe another. You know what? Maybe I do put something here. Maybe I do put like. There we go. Put this up. Like I said, we're just probably gonna go to 9:30 just by looking at the time. I just want to make sure I get some of these guys laid in, some ideas laid in before we do anything. Maybe a mystic is having a experience with the pterodactyls. Maybe a Slawish. And you know, that would be an interesting kind of thing. Maybe they revere them. Maybe they fear them. Maybe it's both. I'd be terrified if I was like a small little down at like. Well, even now I'd be terrified if I ran into an Astarkid. Again, these aren't Astarkids, but still, giant pterosaur, scary, awesome, terrifying, supremely terrifying. Maybe he's got like a little fire going. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Again, these are super rough kind of ideas, but I wanted to do some, you know, world building pieces, some ideas to kind of get a sense of like their environment, what they're doing, and just kind of put these things, you know, these are thumbnails, you know, of course, next week we can go into more details and pick one to kind of, refine, but I kind of want to get just at least these started. What do you folks think? I think they're looking pretty good. These are good starts. Okay, I'm going to do one last thing probably on this page, and that's going to be probably a prop. I'm going to do a prop, like a tool. I'm going to make a second group. Look at this. Okay, I think I'm going to be, if I want an example, I'm going to pull this guy. Copy. Just want to have a reference, you know, what am I going to be doing? This is just an average one. Smallish. I'm looking at their body. What are you going to be doing? I even have an anatomy study. I actually don't think I've shown you folks that, but like... there was a general idea. Looking at owl skulls and raptor skulls and trying to figure out what they would look like. Something that would be comparable, but also like anthornithine skulls. And there's some minor changes I want to do to their anatomy, but I think they're on a good space. So, okay, I'm going to actually lower this. Maybe think about how they'd be using things. So, of course, I can't really show you because I'm making a motion, but like their arms, they're not going to be able to rotate like their Rogun or even, well, of course, ours. They can't brachiate like us, which means you could swing your arms around your socket, which is a remnant of our ancestors that, you know, were primates that lived in the trees. So, brachiation, swing your arms around. Birds don't really do it like that. Or even especially in non-avian dinosaurs. I'm not saying they can't pronate their arms in a way, but brachiation and pronation are not really their thing. And the Rogan are a special case because it's mostly dexterity in the elbow, so they can pronate. They can't really rotate their shoulders, but they can flex their shoulders and raise their arms up. But they can't swing their arms around like you or I. These guys are, you know, have more restricted movement in the arms, and their strongest force is pulling their arms in, like for prehole restraint. Mostly it's in their face, which is, again, something that's been used by C.M. Kozeman and Simon Roy's Dinosauroid project, but I do want to do some more takes and interesting kind of solutions for their problems. Like a mouth is going to be, of course, a very big object that they use, but I guess it'd be a tool that would be used by primarily the hands and the mouth. So maybe it's something that's like this, something for like a chisel. Let me think about what they're doing. Maybe something that they will bite. I gotta think of something that they can make, you know, relatively easy for maybe wood or bone. Maybe they take something like this. So they would bite around this area, and this would act like a stylus. So they sharpen it to a point, and they use this to kind of gouge out things, or like chip into things. And this is just silhouetting, so something is going to be comfortable in the mouth. Maybe something that's made out of bone, or maybe wood. Something of that nature, maybe. I'm going to do a couple more tools, too. Okay, so maybe right here, so the jaw, I guess, would be held primarily right here, or actually no, it would be held at the back of the mouth. That means this would have to be longer. There we go. And maybe this would be a little tighter, actually. Because you want more control. If it's too far, maybe far out ones like this would be for a specific job. But if you're going to be, I imagine if you're trying to have this thing, you want more control over it. Yeah, so. So this stylus kind of tool, maybe it's, and so let me kind of work this out. Along the lines of this, maybe. So like that. I'm thinking this specific one's maybe made out of bone. Maybe like a rib. Maybe the rib is broken off right here. Or maybe a femur. I think this is kind of like a femur-y kind of shape. The rest of it is twined on. They use their beak for their hands to make maybe little knots. Or they use sap. Again, these are all good issues, good problems. You know, don't be daunted by the amount of questions you're going to have. This is an important thing in the world building. Constantly ask yourself questions like, how do they do this? How do they do this? So maybe they do that, or maybe they, if you're going to be grabbing on something with your mouth, you kind of want to be comfortable. Maybe there's like moss. They wrap it in. Something that's kind of not as, you know, it's not hard. It's gonna, you know, it's gonna be gripped in their mouth. So I guess also this is gonna have a reference. So it's gonna be here. Here's the top of the head, kind of. The jaw would be here, and this would be here, and this would be here. So you'll see eyes would be right here. Okay. Or, you know, they could be doing this to write. Maybe this is a pencil for them. Like, maybe they dip the tip in ochre and then in pigment that they make, and then they can draw with it. Maybe the tip, oh, you know, that could be cool. Maybe like they do like this. Hold on, maybe they fashion, oh my god, it's like a pen. It's a fountain pen, but like made out of wood and bone. That's cool. So they display the end, maybe. Drip here on the wall, and the ink goes down this little notch, and it goes through there. Of course, I had to do a little more research, but hey, this is ideation. This is about just getting an idea. Yeah, that's looking good. Okay. Yeah, okay. This is all a part of the process, and you know, maybe this is their culture. Like, they like to paint and make mark makings using, you know, styluses and kind of brush-like things made from branches. That's cool. Okay. So I have a rough idea of the tool. It's also good to get it at different angles. So what does this look like? 3/4. So if one is holding it, it kind of would look like this. Sophisticated little things. And of course, warp is always your friend. Let's do a default one. Maybe get a good reference of like what that would look like when they're using it. So okay. Yeah, there we go. We're getting somewhere. Now let me just kind of do this. Add. Yeah, so just a kind of a rough sketching and ideation. Okay. So you wouldn't see that right here. This would be all like covered by. kind of getting a feel. Hey, welcome back. Just in time. It's there like 20-something minutes. I'm working on tools for my one of my dinosauroids. Welcome back, Duderson. I made like a cool little like pen item that they can use. Or this one can use. Also, we were working on environmental design, so I was looking at housing for two of my dinosauroids. They're Hirugun are on the bottom, which are, well, one is right here. The other two, actually this would probably be a Hirugun as well. Two Hirugun, and then two Hirugun, and then two Slawhish. So, Slawhish, these little Antornithine bird descendant ones, and these Rapidont ornithopod ones. And then we also were working on this pseudosauropod stegosaur, convergent stegosaurid that converged on a sauropod-like body plan that lives on the island. Oh, okay, we're almost there. I really like how this is coming out, though. This is like a cool, like, fountain pen. Thank you. I think the stegosaur came out really cool, too. Again, these are not the final colors. These are just kind of like to give me a sense, but they might be. I really enjoy this palette. They just tried me some refinement, some experimentation on patterns, but it's part of the process that I do. Yeah, they came out really good. Also, here is the other one, which is the anteater. Okay, cool. Just gonna keep working on this. How are we folks feeling? How do you feel about this kind of tool I'm making? I feel like it's cool. I haven't named the species just yet. They will get a name later on when I go through like finalization. I'd like to save that as like the last bit. At least a scientific name. For these guys though, the Rogun and the Slawhish, those are their names, or at least if spoken by a human being, that's what it would sound like. Of course, to their language it'd be, you'd misconstrued what it would actually be. It's like I said, the mouth guard would be like a moss or a soft material. Just something that kind of allows them to have grip, but doesn't hurt their mouth when they're holding it. I like how they kind of look a little goofy from the front. That's okay. Again, this is a rough little drawing, but hey, you know what? Nature is goofy. Like, don't be afraid to make even your most serious looking like creatures look a little bit silly sometimes. Because, you know, at the end of the day, nature is weird, it's messy, it's funny. Like, tigers act weird every now and then. Look at your, like a house cat and how they're little weirdos every now and then. But we love them. But that's the thing, you know. For every, like, Edgeosaurus Rex super deluxe, you know, triple death threat, add, for every, like, 3 of those, just, like, add at least, you know, 1, Cutisaur, or, like, something that is, like, goofy. Goofodon. Again, but that's the thing. That's good world building. You don't have to. It gives more variety. There you go. Okay, I think we're getting somewhere. Like, this is a cool little tool. A little pen. And then this will be through ideation as well, and this will be that. While we're here, though, let's kind of think about clothing. The eyes would be kind of like above this right here. Like I said, a good warp will always do you. It's like right above the snout, they kind of would want things to kind of Goofodon for the win. Whoever does a fan or a Goofodon, you will have my never-ending affection and support. Because yes, be bold, do a Goofodon. Okay, so I'm gonna put these in its own little folder, and I'm gonna come back to do some clothes. It's really rough. Again, these ideas are gonna be ongoing until the project is, you know, finally solidified. We're in production. Well, this is part of the production. This is all the pre-production work. The stuff where you put things on the chopping block and you just kind of allow them to breathe and change. So I imagine, like, and I also got to think about how they put it on. So I imagine it's like something that would be things that they could put on their chest and probably over their back. More than likely something that they would put with their face. Like they would grab this thing and put it on their back, and then they have to secure it with their hands. So I'm thinking Hmm. They probably can bend their head over this way and reach their back. Because I'm thinking about something like this. Here's some little greaves. Things that wouldn't be like out of place. Primarily they're running around, but probably going to be needing some like shin protection. They're running through like scrubs. Of course, I got the big thick scales there to help, but you know, why do that when you can make clothing? The island is pretty warm. Doesn't get cold as often. Really, barely at all. It's very, maybe more wet, if anything. Yeah, I'm going to make some ideations and just kind of play with little clothing. Maybe this one's got a mask. Maybe they revere specific animals. Maybe this one's supposed to be a pterodactyl. Maybe they fasten it with like sinew or something. Maybe it is made from like the membrane, like the wing membrane, like pterosaurs. That'd be kind of hardcore. Okay, I'm kind of down for that. Yeah, they're using their environment. See, and then that has significance to them. Here's like the and these would be like smaller pterosaurs that they've like killed and like used their bodies. Because I'm thinking of having like a smaller pterosaur on the island too. And like I'm not just gonna make them all like completely speculative. Well, I'm not saying they're all. Like I want there to be actual taxa that visit the island every now and then. Like you know, oh there goes an actual Asdarkid. You know. Like oh sometimes they visit the island. And or there's like a bunch of like little, you know, oh there's Phosphotodracos, or like a weird Alcyone just got dropped, or again, you know, look at me flexing my prehistoric planet. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know about these pterosaurs until that show, and I'm glad I do now, but I'm also like I was a poser. Okay, that's looking good. Well, you know, actually they could use a skull. Ooh, this would be like a hollowed out skull. Or like a young pterodactyl that they... And here's like the bottom jaw. We got like someone just like, I don't know, maybe out. Gee, let me add something real quick. Let me cook. Yes, little hat to keep the sun out of his eyes. He's out there, you know, foraging. Maybe this one's a warrior. So what would be their vitals? What do they want to protect? They want to protect their necks. Yes, keep his little bald head safe. Little bald boys and girls they are. Maybe they have a... Oh, you know, it'd be kind of cool to pull it back to my Compsognathus thing. Maybe they use those guys for armor. But that'd be pretty rad. Oh, that'd be kind of cool. Yeah, some underbelly armor. That makes sense. Here, let me just do this, and then we'd also have like a beak. Yeah. You tie it like this. Maybe feathers are something significant to them. I imagine they would be. Exactly. See, Duderson, you already see the vision. So here's what we're gonna do. So I guess when they're putting armor on, I imagine it's like a two-person job. Like two of them have to work together to get the sun. Oh, you know, it'd be kind of cool, like a cultural thing for them. They try to embody all the animals that like they revere when they're going to like their little skirmishes, or like when they're trying to defend their thing. So, like a sharp bill, like a pterosaur to stab at things. The spines on the head, shoulder spines, right? So like spines here, armored belly. Right, something like this. Probably use like rib cages of other things, and then they laminate them with like fiber. The wing would go over here, so their arms. Yeah, there we go. Exactly. So like for them, it'd be like a cultural significant thing. It's just like you're trying. These are the things that we contend with the most and respect the most. Like, kind of like a little, love a good little like flag. So like, there we go. And this can be literally ripped from the hide of like one of those Compsognathus. And maybe putting rings on their tail. And maybe it'd be kind of cool, like on their neck, to have like this thing that looks like the jaws of the albelisaurid. So like whoever tries to grab it can like their neck could be like a very vulnerable thing. It's very long. So I imagine it becomes something of a significance. So. Yeah, they have like a spur, like a big spur, like, here you go. Like a big kicking spur. And then, like that, and then maybe some, like something light, so maybe like some woven chaps on the thighs. Big spur. Oh, and then they'd obviously have like claw extensions. As for their hands, like I kind of want them to be more free, but it's still like you don't want it to be like hurt. So, let's see. Let me see what I can do. This would also go down right here. Oh, mind you, I should kind of make a reminder that this is just a male specimen that I am drawing. They wouldn't be really the warriors of their culture. They're smaller. They're not saying they don't go out and fight, but the females are like a little larger than them and more robustly built. Like there's a size comparison of the two of them. But that could change. I'm always interested in kind of seeing what I could do with their dynamics. I was mostly inspired by like birds of paradise, but also kind of like ratites, But with their living in a communal society, maybe they pretty much, yeah. The males are like good. Like I said, during like the males also lek. So during the mating season, they sing and dance. They do. The society, again, there's always going to be outliers for the individuals. They're not any one way to live. They're just showing examples of their existence and how they are. There's a diverse array what they're going to be, but I'm still trying to figure out what they're going to be doing and how they're going to be doing. This is the fun of it. You get to kind of figure out like what their culture is going to be like. And these guys are ornithine birds. So I'm going to try and figure out like in the bird world what examples I can pull upon. But it'd be even sicker. Like this is an actual like jawbone, like a section of jawbone from like one of those Carnwell. I'll figure it out. Okay, so that would be there. That means this would be like a flap of fabric right here. Maybe claw extension. Don't actually know. I know what exactly it would be. Be like this, but it'd be spines. It'd be spur. I know what it is. It'd be spines collected from more of those things from the Compsognathus. Like the tail spines. Here too. There. Okay. Got some little costumes we can work on next time. That being said, folks, I think I'm going to call it for now. It is 9:35 p.m. here, and I think that was us. I think we got through a lot. We got some costumes. Got a nice little scout going for the woods, collecting mushrooms or whatever. Got a nice little shaman, maybe a masquerade dancer, someone doing something of cultural significance. We have a warrior going out to defend their land from an attacker. Maybe a large abelisaur broke through the barrier, and this has got to be the one to go fight it. Then we also, did some nice environments that we're going to be working on next time. We can refine these as we go. We also have some great work we did on our king neck steg. I'm just going to call it that. But thank you folks for joining me in this inaugural episode. I am really excited, and actually I'm very humbled that you folks came to watch me. And I'm really excited to share with you more of my world building projects and show you more of the lore and the secrets that I have in store, and really just share your interest too. Learn more about your projects and your processes. And I really want these streams, much like the ones I do with Justin, to be a place of safety and comfort for artists to just work on their projects, to learn, to share each other's joy and express each other's passion, and really inspire each other to work more. And I'm glad you made it too, Duderson. Again, thank you for everyone who came to watch. And if you did work right now, and if you were working along on your own projects, feel free to tag me. I'd love to post. You can also find me if this is your first time at RJ Nieto Illustrated on Instagram, and you can find my LinkedIn, my link tree through that too. But yeah. Thanks, Justin. Yeah, no, this is really fun. I really am having fun. This is going to be a regular thing, as much as I can. I'm going to be doing this every Sunday around the same time. It'll be 6 p.m. PST. And yeah, next, thanks, Drew. So just to kind of give a little sneak peek on the next project, like I said, I want to kind of keep it within Renaissance since I'm feeling it right now. I will be doing Renaissance probably for next session, but the session after that, I'm going to be introducing you folks to a new universe. And like I said, we'll be bouncing through all of these, 12 of them. There's a lot of world building and Viz-Dev that I got to do for these projects. But I just want to make sure I keep it exciting for myself. So we'll be leaving the world of Renaissance after next week's session and entering the alien world of Project Quarry, and I'll give you a sneak peek of what that is to come. This is an alien world. This one is heavily inspired by fantasy, not so much in like action, but in names. Yeah, definitely love to see you again, DigiZ. So yeah, I also am recording these. I'm going to be putting them on my YouTube channel, and there is also a VOD that will be on the Twitch. But yeah, this will be in about, I'd say, 2 weeks. We'll be working on Quarry. But yeah, anyway, thank you, folks. Have a great evening, day, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for watching, and tune in next time as we go into the Extraordinozoic.